Hello, hello. Welcome to Rise Up CX Talks. This is the podcast where we discuss strategies and ideas on how to transform experience into business growth. I am your host, Camila Ferreira, an award winning CX leader, an international speaker, and an author of Long Live CX, available on Amazon. Today, I have the pleasure to welcome a friend of mine, Mohamed, who is the current director of enablement at Spot On. But more than that, he's an enthusiast about tools and how to leverage tools to drive business growth. So, with no further ado, so Mohamed, please take the stage and tell people who you are and what you do to transform experience into business growth.
Thank you, Camila. So really glad to be here. My name is Mohamed, based in Poland. I have been in CX over 10 years and maybe 20 years when it comes to the other side, which is the customer side. Starting from the first level support all the way to leadership. And I have worked across different companies, different locations, Morocco and Poland. And also, I have seen a lot of tools, sometimes way too many. So that's why I'm here to answer some questions with Camila, who used to be my manager before, that I learned a lot from her. Yeah, thank you again and glad to be here.
Oh my goodness, such a pleasure to have you in this show. We have gone through so many challenges and so many situations just to kind of set our audience. Mohammed and I know each other for more than 10 years now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Our professional partnership started a while ago when the two of us used to work at Groupon. Then I took a different challenge. Mohammed stayed there. When I was at Spot On, I brought him back. And look at where we are today. I am no longer at Spot On, but our partnership remains. This is something that I'm very proud of. So thank you very much for taking the time to be here. And
Thank you.
today we're going to talk about beyond tools. And I think this is such an important topic in the era of AI, in the era of artificial intelligence. I see many companies implementing not only AI, but different tools just for the sake of having this and not necessarily solving for their clients, solving for their customers. So, this is the topic of today. I know that sometimes it can be a little bit scary to be live on a show, but just forget about it, Mohammed. Let's have a very informal conversation, like so many conversations
Great.
we've had in the past. Okay,
Yes, of course.
good. I have prepared a few questions just to warm us up. So let me start with the first one and asking you, in your based on your experience and having seen so many, having gone through so many situations. So, what is the most common mistake you see companies make when adopting new CX tools, and how can leaders avoid it, in your opinion?
Yeah, so it's a good question again. So as you said, we can start with the most common and maybe costly mistake that I have learned from my experience. So building or buying a CX system, I mean, each company, they have their own preference. Some people they buy, some other they build. But doing this without design thinking is very critical. Too many companies today they build based on how they are built internally. Honestly, for example, you look at the departments, you look at the ownership of the processes, workflows. The system is reflecting mostly the org chart rather than reflecting the customer journey. So, which means that from inside it feels organized, but from outside it feels disconnected and not answering the need of the customers. So for me, the job of the CX leaders or the decision makers most of the time is to understand that specific tool or process makes sense for the final customer, which is merchant, can be customer, whatever the company is. And because here's the truth, normally customers don't care about who owns the tickets, what are the tools that are used internally. So nobody will decide, I want to collaborate with this company because they use this X tool. So this is not something that they care about. So what they care about is mostly how can I get my things solved faster, done smoothly, and resolved. So first, when you skip the design thinking, you're gonna end up by having customers getting passed from team to another, repeating themselves. And this is when the design is really important. Like you start with your customer journey, you start designing your customer journey, which means that you have to spend some time to understand how the customers will work or will use this platform. Um, and if you don't do this, what they do normally is they create their own journey. Like customers, they start creating their own and they design their own way to contact support or CX in general. So, and again, it's in my experience during the last 10 years working with different companies and seeing both sides. Um, the issue it's coming from, leadership and how the leadership they think about it. So when they fail to connect the dots across other functions, like if the customer is using one tool or different tools and the mission journey is touching different dots there, so they have just to sit and align how this tool can solve this, interaction, or how the tool can help my customer to not be frustrated, to not be jumping from a department to another. So sorry. So for me, customer journey is really important, and you have to start from there, and then you go backwards to look at the other things that are connected with it.
My goodness, yes, this was a masterclass itself.
No,
Definitely, I completely. That's why I have you here, because you know so much about this. But you're completely right. The merchant journey. What is the journey that you expect, you as a company, right, as an organization, that you expect your customer to have, or your merchant to have? And then, based on this, what are the main frictions that this client is facing today? Based
yeah,
on that, you work backwards to address those gaps, to bridge those gaps, where the solution can be a system, or can be people, or can be process redesign. So there are so many different outcomes, right? When you analyze, when you start from the merchant journey. But what I have been observing, especially now working as a solopreneur, is that leaders are, I would say, eager to check a box of having the best system, or having the artificial intelligence, or have the automated support, just for the sake of have it, and not necessarily as a response or as an answer to their customer needs.
yeah.
And that's where everything should start.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. So, but there is maybe some three questions that, again, well, everything that I'm going to say today is mostly what I learned from my managers in the past and still learning as of today. So, some question that maybe you can ask yourself before thinking about buying or building a process or a tool, whatever it is. So, just to, as we mentioned, like customer journey is very important. And then you start with what are the moments that are very important to this customer? Like, what is the touch points when the customer is involved into this process? And also, you can ask yourself about where are they stuck or repeating themselves about asking for something. And also, if you put yourself as a customer and you say, okay, I'm the customer today, what should I change on this platform? When I say like what I can change today, is not what I can change on the roadmap or for the next 6 months, but what I can do today for this customer, then to have an easier interaction and a good experience in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another great recommendation, or a pro tip here. Whatever you do, put yourself in the customer's shoes. How would I feel? What would be my experience if I were the customer of what I'm designing? This is so simple, but at the same time, I see not so many leaders do this exercise, right? So they jump to the conclusion without going through the journey themselves and experience on their customer shoes. Amazing. So let's jump to the second one here, because you
Yeah.
have said tools don't challenge you, and I know this from the bottom of my heart. You are the master of tools, but you make them work smarter, which I also agree. So I have had the chance to partner with you for so many years and learn from you and see your ability of getting the best of the tools that we have at our hands. Not the best tools, because it's not always possible, but you are such a person that can get the best of the tools that we have available. So can you walk us through a time when you turned a fragmented tool set into a performance system?
Sure, indeed. So this is one of my maybe last interactions or like last tool that I used in the current company, let's say. So if I can talk, I can maybe talk about the QA process. As of today, everyone is seeing QA as you audit interactions, you go to the process adherence, or you go to the, um, I mean, yeah, I would say like process adherence, if you follow the right process from the floor, if you resolve the case correctly, etc. But also this tool can give you more insights that you can imagine. So maybe you can use also the AI. There is many tools in the market today that offer AI with the QA, and then you can use them to get more information that you can share with different audiences. When I say like different audiences, you can have some kind of signals that come in from this tool by reading the entire discussion, the entire interaction, and then you can use this as a signal for your product team to improve the product or to prioritize a roadmap or to prioritize like features coming, or even you can use it for upsell or cross sell as well. So I mean, from the QA side, when you go to the case, you are mostly focusing on what the agent did on that case or like on that interaction on that ticket, but you don't look at what we can do for the business from that ticket. So if there is maybe a way to cross sell, upsell, that's something that you can use by having AI sending some signals to the right department saying, okay, this is how I now help my business or like help my company to grow by giving you some insights that are kind of proactive coming from the QA department with the QA tool to help you to get more, deals or leads with the same customer or the same merchant. The same thing when it comes to the churn and the retention. So you can understand about this interaction and the merchant behavior before the churn happening. So you can use all this information from the QA by looking at maybe 100% of your interactions, and then based on some, you call them like LLM today, based on the AI. So you can track how the merchant is feeling or like how the customers are feeling. Then you can use it to be more proactive, and then you can have the right department using this human touch, and then this human touch can save those merchants and can save the business as well. So this is how you can use the tool for more than one thing, not only because the tool named QA, so then I will use it for QA, or it's named for workforce management, I will use it for workforce management, but you can use it for other things that can be giving or adding a value for the business.
Absolutely. And I know you are a very humble person, but I have to tell the audience that you have built a QA system that no other system available on the market could beat it, what you have built. And this is the power of the systematic thinking that you have. So everything starts with the customer, right? So
Indeed.
what does our customer need? How do we help our people to be more successful? How do we help them to be more effective and precise? Because at the end of the day, if the employees, if the team know have available tools to be more successful, they will offer this to the client. And again, it's not, sometimes people go ahead and go to the market and say, oh, I need a QA tool just because I have to have it. No, what do you actually need? How can you help your team to be more successful with your clients? And then you work backwards. So just to set the stage here, because you have done such an amazing job building this system that challenged the market, right? I remember when we were working together, when we were looking for potential vendors, no vendor in the market could offer what we have built internally. And this was one of the challenges. So again, it doesn't have to be something big, but it has to be something functional that
Correct.
works for your team. So putting your team at the center also helps, because they are going to be the ones using the tools, using the solutions. And if it's not useful for them, they will just not use it.
Indeed,
Right?
I totally agree on this.
Okay, good segue for the next question here, Mohamed. So when building scalable CX operations, where do you start? People, process, technology, or something else, and why?
I mean, so as of today, honestly, and let's be honest, everyone is talking AI. Everyone is talking about the AI, and the AI is important. Don't get me wrong, I agree with this approach. So we need to scale smart, and also we need to find ways to do more with less. However, behind all of those things that you just mentioned right now, like processes, AI, agent assist, automations, macros, whatever, you still have one thing that is connecting all this together, which is a human brain. So for me, you still need to have a human before thinking about scaling the operation or scaling the tool or scaling the business. Um, and yeah, so for me, like a human brain is really important, because someone who knows the process inside and out, someone who built it, someone who's gonna train the AI, who's gonna write the template macros, keep them up to date, improve them when things change. As of today, things are changing every 1, 2 weeks, maybe sometimes every day. So you still need to have someone to do all of those things. So for me, human is really, really important, and there is no way today to replace human by having 100% or maybe more than 90% automations AI in any business. So that's my point of view. Again, don't get me wrong. I love AI. I use AI every day, but if I use it, I mean, I'm faster, but I'm not, having all my answers using AI.
Yeah. That's such a good point because I have learned many AI tools from you that I still use it. So thank you very much for sharing. You are definitely
Mhm.
ahead of the curve in learning those solutions. So keep feeding me, okay? Even though we are no
Sure,
longer in the
will
same
do.
company, you keep feeding me. Um, but again, I would say let's kind of mention ChatGPT here. Adoption
Mhm.
went so viral. I think nowadays, at least our generation uses this on a daily basis.
Yeah,
But the outcome of any AI is highly dependent on your input, and input comes from humans, right? So
yeah,
the benefit of AI is the data processing that no human can do this at the same pace, at the same level. So whenever you want to do a research, I remember in my early days at school, I used to go to the library. I used to read many books in order to write one paragraph. So
yeah.
today,
I
I
agree.
can tell you, my 6-year-old kid, he doesn't even know what a library is. He knows what is a bookstore, but going to a library and reading books for research, no. So he uses
Yeah,
AI already. And he has been, this is how he is the kind of a learning at school. So we are definitely living in a new area. And I used to compare the life we are living today with the Jetsons. I used to watch Jetsons when I was a kid, and I was like, I was mesmerized by so much technology involved in that cartoon. And we are pretty much living that life where you
yeah,
ask Alexa or you ask another artificial intelligence what to do, where to go. You don't need to know the route to go from point A to point B anymore because you have GPS. So look at the amount of solutions that we have available nowadays. But
indeed.
again, coming back to my point of the input, if I do not know my destination, how can a GPS help me?
Yeah, that's
If
totally
I do
the
not,
now.
right? If I do not know what I want, how can artificial intelligence and LLM can help me? I need to know what it is. So once we think about CX, that to me is the ecosystem of any given organization, it's not one or the other, in my opinion. It's not the process or the people or the technology, but it's the combination of them. How do we
Yeah,
leverage each of them in a way that they become more powerful?
yeah,
If you do not give your people, first of all, if you do not care about your people and not give them the right training or the right tools, forget about customer experience. You can only give what you have. If
yeah.
your
I have
employee
maybe,
experience,
sorry, maybe I have a good example here.
oh,
So, and
go
there's a,
ahead.
I mean, that's a funny thing. So we all know companies today, they are using, I mean, not the same tool, but most of them, they use the same tools. I won't name names, but let's be
No need
real.
to.
Yeah, there are tools today that dominates the market. Maybe I would say 40% of large companies globally, they are using the same platform. However, when
Mhm.
it comes to the experience, no one is delivering the same experience, not even close. So they use the same tools, they have maybe the same whatever technologies, everything, but they don't even provide the same experience. So for me, the tool was, I mean, the tool is not the one making the experience difference, but it's mostly about how you feed the tool, or like who is behind the tool to feed the tool to give you that process, like that's documentation, whatever information is there, that can give you a different experience. And like my maybe last maybe 6, 7, 8 months, I was going to different meetings when I start learning about different tools in the market, and no tool today can solve complex issues the way a real person can. When I say complex, I don't mean long process like with multiple touches or something, but I mean that the product is the issue. I mean, where the product is designed to doesn't have only one clear path to resolution. So it's not something that you can have on AI just to say, okay, go and follow this path and then you can solve it. Because there is no AI today, honestly, that can go and test 5, maybe to 10 potential outcomes and do the right follow-up with the customer, like to read the customer tone, like with some empathy, etc., and then getting the resolution to the merchant or like to the customer. That's why you still need those human touch to be in that process, because the issue again is not the technology, it's not the process, is the product. The product was not designed to be solved with one or two questions. It was designed to be solved with many questions, and you need to have someone to step in there and to ask the right questions to lead the customer. One of the things that you know better than me, customers, they don't describe issues clearly. So they have a different voice. Like merchant voice is completely different than the product voice. And again, we cannot blame the customers because they don't know. It's our job as a leader or a company or whatever customer experience people to have a tool designed for them to fix their issue quickly and smoothly. So this is, you can see the difference between AI can help for sure, but it cannot help on everything. It can help you to automate routine stuff, repetitive steps, maybe the known answers, first level answers. But as you mentioned, for example, for your child or your kid, so people are getting more clever. So the new generation is more clever. So no one can reach out to you to say, I want to reset my password, like maybe in 10 years from now. So everything will be, that's a normal thing. That for us, for example, when, I don't know, I'm talking about myself, when Excel started, maybe it was hard for me to do a VLOOKUP, which is not today, which is super easy. It's a different experience, different, audience. And that's why, again, just to summarize and say that human touch is very important here. And you cannot scale operation without with losing a human touch or removing the layer of humans.
Yeah. As Simon Sinek would say, it starts with the why, right? So
Yeah,
why are you doing things, and put the people at the center of your decision. Put the client, that at the end of the day is the human, right? So in client here, I'm not only referring to the external client. Employees are clients.
correct.
So
Yeah.
put the human at the center of your decision making. Fantastic. So we have talked a lot about tools, but let me kind of change gears here and talk about coaching. So we are in this era of automation. I've heard and I have seen people talking about having AI coaching people. In your opinion, Mohammed, what role does human coach still play in high performing teams?
So a human, it's still playing like in the coaching when it comes to empathy, to come like to tone, like to come to human interaction. Because in the end, you are talking with the human, you are not talking with the AI. Like when the customer is calling, it's a human calling, not AI calling, you know. So you still need to have this empathy and this human touch for for the interaction in the end. That's why coaching for me, it can be a combination. It cannot be, 100% by AI, but it can be a combination between AI and humans. So AI can go with the simple things, things that you forget to mention or forget to do in the process itself. But dealing with a different type of customers, I'm sure and I believe that humans are really important there, because having someone with experience on some soft skills or coaching or trainers or whatever like the topic is, that person is going to help you to be better rather than having AI doing this. That's my experience as I managed one of the teams today, like in the QA team. So yeah, so for me, I don't see that AI can do this. Honestly, I'm not into this.
I
It's not
agree with
something that I
you.
believe in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, one of the most, I think that feedback and coaching is one of the most powerful tools for personal and professional development. I I do think that AI came to help us to be more effective in everything that we do, not only in coaching, right? And
Mhm.
why? Because the ability of the capacity of data processing is way above, way beyond the human beings. But at the end of the day, as you correctly said, it's about empathy. So,
Yeah,
hey, what have you had in mind once you behave that way? We as leaders, we gotta put ourselves in our employee shoes to try to replicate the feeling and the perspectives they had at the time they did something.
yeah,
And of course, AI can definitely help, but it's the empathy. And moreover, oh, you know what, Mohammed, I understand now that you explained me what were the circumstances, what were the pieces of information that you had handy at that time. I understand why you did that way. Let me tell you, let me explain, let me share with you a past experience of mine when I faced myself in a similar situation. Those are the things that AI cannot replace at this point. Maybe one day, but not
Yeah,
today,
but not today. Not today. Not the in the
right?
next two
And the
years. I
other,
don't think so.
yeah, me neither. Even though it's going in a very fast pace,
Yeah.
again, it's the human relationship. And in a world that we have so many data points, that we have so many tools, that we are, I would say, boundaryless, if you will, right? So look at us. You were in Poland, I'm here in Brazil. At some point in time, our paths crossed at Groupon, and then we went to different directions, and our paths crossed again. So in the past, that wouldn't have been possible
Correct.
because we were very much limited to our scope was very much limited, which is not the case anymore. So today we can hire people from China to Brazil and the US
Everywhere.
and leverage talents worldwide. But learning from this is what mesmerized me, and this is what I think that that adds a lot of value to the business. So,
Agreed.
and coaching to me and feedback, two-way coaching is a way of building trust, is a tool of a personal develop more than professional. It's, hey, I can learn from this person that I trust that will help me face similar situations in the future.
I agree.
Okay, okay. So last question here because you won't believe me. We are almost at 30-minute mark.
Oh
I
my god.
told you this was high.
Oh my god.
I told you. But Mohammed, we talked a lot about tools and about artificial intelligence. And you mentioned in the beginning of the show the relevance and the importance of the merchant journey. So, based on your experience and the things that you have gone through, what is the one mindset shift you think that CX leaders needs to make today if they want to scale sustainably in a complex and global world? Because again, as I mentioned before, today we are boundaryless. We can go and connect, but it's also important that we understand the cultural difference. So, in your based on what you have experienced in your life, because you're now your global leader,
Yeah.
uh, what is this kind of a one mindset shift?
So honestly, to be honest, also here, most of the CX team, and I think I was one of them. Maybe I still like one of those people that we spend way too much time on firefighting mode. So 911. So you have something uh, breaks, you fix it. Customer gets frustrated, we respond. And then next week, same story again happening, and it feels like a progress. Sometimes it feels that you are moving, but you are not actually improving anything. Like you are just reacting. You're 100% reactive. And I get it. Like sometimes it's the pressure, it's the volume, it's the noise. Then you have to take the ownership, fix the issue. But then for me, like what changed? It's you just need sometimes to pause and ask why is this still happening? So then you are just building a system that survives. So that's what we are doing. So we just survive on the issue, and we have the system that is helping us to survive and be reactive. So for me, like thing that can help you to, I mean, shift your mind or think differently is when you pause and you just say, okay, I want to slow down. I will not take this case, but I want to understand what is the problem, what is the broken process on my immersion journey. So it can be across different departments. It can be maybe product, support, whatever departments you name it. But what I have learned, so you start paying attention to really repeated issues and the root causes, and you start looking at where to fix them. So once you fix this, and once you remove the friction, and once you remove what is actually broken, so the whole energy is changing, and then you start seeing that your team is finally reacting and thinking rather than just being all the time reactive. And also your customers, they got the answers faster. So, and also at that time, your system start learning, and every issue you solved properly that time means that less friction and less escalations for the week after. So for me, it's just to take a step back and look at your merchant journey and decide about where the problem is broken and how to fix it, and come up with some, not like new ideas, but fix the issues rather than just adding layers and adding like more steps. Because many from my experience or like my time with different companies, most of the time the answer is we just need to have another tool for more visibility. So we need like to have something between this process or like this process or between this department to get more visibility on something. But sometimes it's not, this is not the issue. Sometimes is you just need to stay and to work to step back and to work with this department like other departments to fix the issue. Once it's fixed, less problems, and then you have more satisfied customers. Yeah, that's for me, I mean, how to shift this mindset and how to uh, have your tools working for you rather than yeah, working against you.
Wonderful. Yeah. As I was listening to you, it reminded me of the 7 habits of highly effective people from Franklin Covey. And one of them is first things first, right? So
Hmm.
the matrix, the prioritization matrix, where if we keep working on firefighting, first of all, this is exhausting,
Yeah, it is.
right? So firefighters are for extreme situations. You
Hmm.
cannot be on a sprint all day long. And it's interesting because I was having a conversation about this topic with one of my mentees yesterday. Sprints can be part of the process, but it cannot be the only way of getting there because
Yeah,
it's very exhaustive. So it's really important that leaders step back and prioritize things and focus on what is important but not urgent, because this is what is going to take us or is going to help them to long-term success. Working as firefighters, you just kill your team and most likely drive even more problems than you currently have today. Well
correct.
said.
I agree.
Okay, we are about to end. So to wrap things up, what is the main takeaway that you want to leave to the audience?
Yeah, maybe I will say something about tools. I mean, tools, they are here to help us for sure. I'm not against, but the only way to have them working is you have to design them correctly. And to do so, I mean, I will not say this, but do not hesitate to work with someone with really good experience in CX to understand the customer journey and the merchants. Kami is one of them. Do not hesitate like to reach out to her. She knows the merchant journey very well. She knows the CX very well. And you may have many tools, or maybe you have like only one tool. So all of them can help you if you design them correctly. Like one of the things that I saw on LinkedIn recently, it was a post from Matt when he posted something regarding someone who went to ChatGPT asking for a tool that can be helping sales or something, and the first answer was a Google Sheet. So I mean, you can use any tools. I mean, anything can help you if they are designed correctly and if the process are followed correctly. So yeah, that's my last thing maybe to say.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Again,
Well,
it's
thank you.
always a pleasure to talk to you, but this time I want to thank you for sharing all of your knowledge, all of your learnings with my
Thanks.
audience. That is now your audience as well. I am pretty sure that whoever was online today and for the people that will watch the recording, they will learn, because this was a master class on how to leverage tools and what are the necessary steps to make it um, to make it happen and to help business growth. So one more time, thank you so
Thank,
much, my friend, for being
thank you for your
here.
time.
Absolutely. And for the audience, I'll see you next week. So stay tuned. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.